Hello everybody, I'm Melissa and welcome back to Book Bar and welcome to my November stats and faves. So basically this is my favorite book to film, my favorite video to film every month, where I just talk to you about the book, like my book statistics, reading statistics, and also about my favorite books. And I'm hoping that next year, so not for my December stats and faves, but for my January of next year, I'll have like fine-tuned my statistics even more. I'm like working on like my own spreadsheet where I have more of like broken down statistics. If I look away, it's because I'm working from home today. I don't feel great. Like, I'm not like sick or anything. I just I've had a migraine or a headache, not really a migraine. So if you hear my computer, it's because I need to have it on. But I've had a headache and my stomach felt funny this morning. So I was just like, told my boss, I was like, I'm just gonna go work from home this afternoon. And he was like, totally fine, feel better. We have our Christmas party tomorrow. And I think part of it is they want everyone there. So I need to get better. So yeah, not that you guys care, but we're just gonna go ahead and get into my stats and faves for the month. In November, I read a total of 24 books. I had 0 DNFs, which was great. My total page length was 10,095 pages. So average page length was 421-ish pages. So kind of longer books this month than normal. And I didn't read nearly as many as I usually do. And the star breakdown is what really is great. I had 13 5 stars, 5 4.5 stars, 1 4 star, 3 3.5 stars, 1 1.5 star, 1 book I didn't rate because it was a nonfiction where I was like learning things and I just didn't feel right as a white woman living in America rating a book about the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. I should not be rating a book like that. So I did not rate it. And so my average rating was 4.31 stars, which is great. Then I had, I read 14 new releases, 5 backlist titles, and 5 titles that were released last year. So I really was on the new release train. I need to get better about reading backlist, but I do enjoy doing the like new release vlog. So yeah. Then I read 1 physical book, 13 audiobooks, 8 ebooks, and then 2 I read like mixed media. So like I was listening while I was reading that way. And then I had 0 arcs that I read, 2 rereads, 6 books made me cry, and I read 7 new to me authors. So that is fantastic. I love reading new to me authors. Then I read 7 contemporary romances, like just strictly like they're, you know, not small town, not sports, just like big city contemporary romances. 2 sports romances, 3 dark romances, 2 fantasy/paranormal romances, 5 small town romances, 1 historical romance, 1 nonfiction, 1 pure fantasy, 1 horror, and 1 sci-fi. And yeah, so quite a big range. And now into my top 5. If I did an honorable mention, it would probably be Iron Flame, because I really did enjoy it. I know a lot of people didn't. I really had a good time with it, but I just read so many fantastic books this month that one kind of got like, maybe because I read it so early in the month, it got pushed off. Like there were so many other books that I read this month that are just like, that have stuck with me and like I'm like thinking about daily, or I read some bangers at the end of the month. But coming in at number 5, I have The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is a epic fantasy, like historical fantasy set in like the Roman Empire, and this follows Vis, and he goes to this school set by the hierarchy is what they're called. He's like adopted into this. Like he was an orphan and he didn't want to get adopted, but something happened and he became adopted. And there was so much betrayal and revenge, and oh, it was fantastic. Like there was a part I'm in Mel from Eleanor Reads. I'm in her, I think I might have talked about this in the vlog that I did where I read it, but, and I'll have that linked up here, but I am in her, I hadn't said anything about reading it. Like, I was just going along reading it, and like, I didn't say anything. And then like one part happened, and I was like, I am nervous. I mean, as a romance reader, I'm assuming you can guess what I was, like, there was something that happened that I was excited about. And I was like, but I'm nervous because this is a fantasy. It's not a fantasy romance. It's just a pure fantasy. And I was like, I am nervous. And like, nobody said anything. And then I got to this part and I was like, I knew I needed to be nervous. Like, I was so upset about this, but it's just, it is so good. Like, it is phenomenal. I loved it. I am so excited. I will probably reread it before the next book comes out, because like, I feel like there's so much that I missed that like I wasn't seeing. And like, that's part of why I love rereading books, is like, once you've read it, to like go back and be like, oh, now that like, it's like, once you know that, you're like, oh my gosh, I see this. Like, I see where these threads were coming in. Like, this is crazy. So yeah, talked about that for like 4 minutes now. So then at number 4, we have Caution to the Wind by Giana Darling. This was the highly anticipated 7th Fallen Men book. I was patiently waiting. I did not talk any crap. You know, things happen. Life happens. Giana got married this year. Like, things happen in people's lives. Authors do not owe you a book. And when we got this, I was so excited. I didn't drop everything, but as soon as I could, I picked it up, and it was a surprisingly, like, I didn't think I would love any characters as much as I loved HR and Lion. I know I am in the minority when it comes to that. I loved that couple, but May and Axeman, oh my God, I loved them so much. So much. It was fantastic. And like, so this is age gap, obviously. They're like all age gaps. This is best friend's dad. But the way that Cleo was like all for May and Axeman being together. Like, she was like, no, you guys are meant to be. Like, I have no problems with you guys getting together. I loved that, because usually it's like, oh, why would you be with my dad? And she was like all for it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. Then at number 3, I have After the Storm by Laura Pavlov. The fact that this is number 3, when for a long time I was like, this is gonna be my top book of the year, or top book of the month. Well, it was like tied for the top book of the month, but it got knocked out. But After the Storm is the final book in the Cottonwood Cove series. This follows Cage and Presley, and it was like right person, wrong time in the past. And then now it's like years later, and Presley's been married. She's divorced now. And Cage has a daughter, which we knew if you read the other books, and like, you could read these as standalones. It does make more sense when you read them all together, because you see the characters and you get to know them and love them, and like, you're rooting for this story, like you're rooting for this character, and like, but totally could be read as a standalone. But it was just so good. And like, the way Presley was with Gracie, I loved it so much. Like, the way the family was. I love the family group chat, like, text messages. They are so funny. They are like my favorite parts of this series. Also, just the nicknames that are in this series. This is top tier. I loved it so much. Then I have a tie at number 1. Again, well, kind of a tie, kind of not. I would say that the book that I'm going to say next is my favorite. This is like a close second, but We King of Greed by Anna Huang. I adored this so much. Anytime there is a "Where's My Wife" scene, I eat that up. And this had it so early on, because obviously this is a marriage in trouble, second chance type of romance, and I'm not going to say what happens, but the way that Dominic does not ever lose hope in being with Alessandra again, just perfect. I loved this so much. I have talked about this with so one of my in real life good friends is my cousin-in-law. It's my cousin's wife's cousin, / their nanny, and her and I have gotten really close over the past like couple years since she's lived with them, and we were talking, she read this like the day it came out, and it took me a little while, but we were talking about it, and she's like, I'm not even excited for the rest of the books. Like, I can't believe she dropped this. Like, I'm like, seriously, like, this book was just so perfect. I loved it so much. Yes. Loved it. Then at number 1 is Unsteady by Peyton Corinne. I think about this book every single day of my life. Like, since I've read it, this is like when I read Ghosted last year, really early on in the month, and that book just like, this book is so phenomenal. It follows Reese and Sadie, and Reese is a hockey player. In the prologue of the book, he is like gets hit really hard into the boards and is like, he blacks out, like cannot see. I don't think he can even talk, like, because he's like trying to say like, I can't see. I don't think, but he like, all he hears is yelling and screaming, oh my gosh. Now it's like 6 months later, and he has this run-in with a woman at, he's like doing a camp for kids, and he's able to do that. Like, he struggles a little bit, but it's not so bad because kids aren't going to hurt him. So he's at this camp for kids, and there's 2 kids that are left, and they're late, being like, their guardian is late to pick them up. And in walks this young lady, and he thinks that this is their mom. And he like says kind of a backhanded, like jerky comment. And he soon learns that it's actually their sister, and she's the same age as him, like in college, doing all this for them. And so like the next day or a couple days later, he's at the rink at like 6 a.m. just trying to like get back on the ice. And he's having a full-blown panic attack, like awful panic attack. And Sadie comes in and she helps him. Like, she helps him with through his panic attack, like tries to help him, explain to him. And Sadie has all this stuff going on. She's helping, she has an alcoholic father. She doesn't have a mom. She has her 2 little brothers that she's like trying to take care of. And she's actually trying to get custody of her brothers. Like, she's doing all this stuff to try to get them. And she like doesn't have time in her life. Plus she's a figure skater. She is a top figure skater at her school. And she's on like academic probation because she's doing all of this stuff. Like, she just doesn't have time for a relationship. And the way Reese like was like there for her, and like, it's like, oh, that's fine. We don't have to be in a relationship. I just want to be around you. I will help you. I want to help you out. I want to do all these things. And she kind of freaks out because he does all this. And she's like, and then he like introduces the kids to her parents, and she like thinks that they're going to take the kids, and she's like freaking out. But it was just like, I could talk about this book for so long. It is phenomenal. It's a debut. Like, Peyton Corinne is, I will read anything that lady writes. I was so excited for this book, and I'm so excited that it was phenomenal. Like, I was nervous going into it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm nervous, but I loved it so much, and everyone needs to read it. Like, I've been telling like on the 12 books from 12 friends, it's the book I'm giving every single person. Like, I just think everyone needs to read it. I loved it. I loved it. But yeah, those are my 5 favorites and all of my statistics for the month. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a, leave me a blue heart emoji because the cover of Unsteady is blue. And I loved it. Yes. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out. And I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye.